Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I'm a master manifester, and I know you are too because you're watching content like this. Only master manifestors watch content like this. I don't have any bells and whistles. I'm not very exciting. I don't think so. I'm not doing anything. I don't even have a lot of edits in my videos. So if you're a master manifester, only people like that who are serious about changing and creating the life they choose are watching content like this. Because I used to think, oh, I need to be more flashy. I need to do, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Anyway, these are some things. So sometimes when I'm going throughout my day, I write down these tips that I think are beneficial when it comes to creating environments where, oh, look, this is something from my vision board fell out of here, a type of house style that I want. Um, Creating value for ourselves, right? So that value needs to go both ways, and also needs to people can be valued by what we bring to the table, and then we can also um, be valued by other people. So when we get in the process of creating those lives that we choose, I'm like, there are some main things that we need to focus on. That's just like some really basic tips that are really great to just keep refined and keep put at your desk. Like if you want to make a little sign at a desk where you work or a place what you see or either a background screen on your phone, it's always good. So these are the 7 things that I always share when people ask me about manifesting and being in charge of your own life and creating the life that you choose and just enjoying your people in the spaces that you have around you, right? So, number 1 is don't be afraid to invest in yourself. A lot of times in this world, people tend to think that investing in yourself somehow means that you're selfish, self centered, and you only care about what you're going to get out of something, right? That's not necessarily true. Investing in yourself means that you become the best version of you. And that best version of you is the version of you that can be beneficial to the world around you, right? Until you become that best version, you cannot step into the world and be of real assistance to anyone because you're still caught up on whatever traumas or hangups or whatever it is that you have not learned to master, or either you have not learned to identify as a part of you and maneuver around it, because everything doesn't shake from us, right? We want to shake everything, but everything doesn't shake. Some of your traumas stay forever. Some things you forget about, some things you stay forever. And even when they do stay or stick around longer than you like, or mostly gone, but kind of 20% still there, then you just don't feed it. You do your best not to feed it. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself and take time to do things that make you a better person. If the goal is to invest in yourself to become a better person for the people around you and become a better person that you can feel proud of, then how can that be selfish, right? That's not selfish and that's not self-centered. And what that looks like, investing in yourself, is different for everyone. For me, it was college degrees for a large part of my life. And also, it was a large part of my life taking care of my children and only focusing on us. 10 years, only us. That's it. I did only us. And I think about that and I'm just like, I got laser focused. I did only us for like 30 to 40 years old. And I was done. I was okay with that, right? And so for me, that was my investment. I said, I need to figure out who I am. I need to get to the bottom of some of these ridiculous things that are going on in my mindset. And I need to find out why I'm attracting things that I don't want. So investing in yourself can be just time sometime that you need in order to get to where you want to be spiritually and mentally, right? Number 2 is keep the main thing the main thing. When we get in environments or we get to start doing things and working out through our lives, sometimes we have these little temporary seasons where something doesn't look right or we don't like the outcomes or we're not interested in what it is and all this kind of stuff. And it's so important to have these type of books, these journals and these writings and the scripting and all this sort of thing, because it helps us focus on the main things that are important to us. And I'm like, what is the main thing that's important to me in my life? It's like, okay, that my children are happy and healthy. That's the main thing, that they're being given opportunities in intellectual environments and academic environments and arts and craft, all these things that I want them to love and do and enjoy, that is what's important to me. So if today that I happen to not get something that I don't want, is the main thing still the main thing? Yes, right. The main thing has to stay the main thing. Otherwise, you get caught up in the tediousness of everyday little problems and you can't even focus on the beautiful life that you're trying to create for yourself. Number 3 is focus on what's working Many times in environments, we get so caught up on all these little things that are just like bringing us down, or little things that are just like needing to be tweaked a little bit, that could be a little bit better, or could be improved. And we completely overlook what is working in our lives. Like what is working every day that we don't pay attention to because it's working. And my best analogy for this is I think about the body, right? And I think about how we use our bodies every day. They're awesome, awesome tools. They're awesome vehicles to get us from one place to the next, right? They can become a burden if we don't take care of them. That's just the truth of the matter. If we don't take care of these vessels, these temples, they become a burden. So my analogy for this is always like when you're when you're having a regular day and you're walking around and like nothing in your body is hurting or aching or feeling kind of weird or funny like that, you don't even notice your body. You don't even notice the body you're in most of the time. Most of the time, the only time we notice our bodies is when something is wrong with them or something doesn't feel good with them. And my point is to notice the body beforehand. Notice when you get up in the morning and be like, I don't have any aches and pains today. That's pretty cool. Wait, I don't have any anxiety right now. That feels great, right? Because I remember how bad it feels to have the anxiety. If I cannot have anxiety, that I'm winning today, right? Focus on those things that are working perfectly for you every single day. Perfectly. Our vehicles sometimes, perfectly every single day. All the things around your house. Think about the gadgets and things that you have going on in your house that you depend on and rely upon every day for the maneuvering and how they work for you, right? So that's that's the third one. Focus on what's working if you can, right? Don't toil until you're depleted. That's going to be my number 4. I think one of the biggest things, especially when it comes to people who are like master manifestors, who are trying to create the lives that we choose, and who want to have better people surrounding us, who want to have, our tools sharpened, our mental facilities sharpened on a daily basis. I've been blessed to have a partner. I know he sharpens my mental faculties every single day, especially with the conversations we have and the level of logic that I'm able to share and express with him that sometimes was rejected in other environments, in a level of practicality that sometimes I've ran away from that he's excellent at. And so I think it's a good thing when you're able to keep that balance. Toiling until we're depleted does not create a successful life, right? When I think about this most when I see entrepreneurs, I think that's probably why I was never interested in being an entrepreneur, like in a real way. I think it's a cool thing to do. I love the idea of going out there in the world and like creating your own blah, I think it's beautiful. And I still do that in so many ways. But as far as like running a business as a business person, that's never been something that got my attention. And one of the biggest reasons is because I always felt like entrepreneurs worked really, really hard. Like they toiled constantly. And like, if they don't have really good systems in place, or if they don't have trust and respect for the people that they take on, they never really get to relax because they're always thinking that only their presence can make the business right. So to me, that is a perfect prime example of toiling until being depleted, right? Another version of toiling until being depleted is going out there and working the world and working jobs and things that we don't love or like, and never getting in front of it and having it suck all of the life energy out of us. And we get to later ages in life and we're just like, why did I deplete myself to this no end? And I also see toiling to no deplete is when you're trying to please other people, right? It's like, I can give you a lot of me, but I'm not going to give you all of me until I feel like there's none of me left. It's just not going to happen. And only I get to decide when that is. And if you call it selfish, then that's something that you need to work out, because that's not the way that I see it, right? And so I also see this in my writing. Is when I'm writing something, I remember reading this one writer and he was like, always leave something in the tank. And I was like, I never thought about it like that. It is, you do need to leave something in the tank. So when you're writing and creating and developing stories, because I do write a lot of things, I always stop right before my next idea, my final idea, because it's not fully fleshed out. And I know it's not fleshed out. So I stop right before that. And I put a little note there. So the next day I have fresh energy, right? It's kind of like your car. You don't run it till it's depleted, because guess what? It's going to be on the side of the road waiting to be towed, right? Do you want to be on the side of the road getting towed? No. And I mean that both spiritually, mentally, and physically. Number 5 is, if it feels yucky, it may not be for you. Okay, because this is a different one. This comes in play because I think being in sociology was always a bonus for me with understanding how environments work and how people work, right? Um, we're often told that manifesting or working on things that we choose is not going to be a pleasant experience, right? I don't subscribe to that. I feel like there are a million and one infinite ways, if that's a term, a million and one infinite ways to create something, right? I think that when we get caught up in our heads and what we have access to, and we think this is the only way to create, that we start to create in a way that we see some results, but it may be a yucky process, right? And so it's like, do you want to go into this yucky process, or do you want to wait for divine timing and divine intuition, right? Because sometimes things are just yucky and it's not for you. Like, okay, I would never want to do really specific jobs that are related to detail administratively. First of all, you wouldn't want me to do that job, right? Because I would completely flounder and fail. I am not a detail oriented person when it comes to those type of things. And let me tell you, if I can avoid the detail to some degree, I do. I'm a big picture thinker, idea person. I've always been like that. The only time I feel like I get tedious and detailed is when it comes to my designs, when I'm creating something that needs to be for other people to see. And I get real caught up on the coloring, the lighting, and all, because I take pride in that type of work, designing learning experiences for people. So that is yucky to me. So I would never sit there and look at a classifieds ad. Do people still say that, classifieds? I would never sit there and look at a classifieds ads and say, oh, this job has so much administrative stuff, but I really just need a job right now. No, that's when you need to wait. Because if that process is that yucky, it's going to take you off your game and you're not going to love it, right? If you can find a way to do it without it feeling yucky, then I can say, okay, well, then that might work out for you. But if it feels terrible every single way and you can't get yourself around the other side of it, then it may be something that's just not for you. And that's just the truth of the matter. And number 6, I was going to say, what number? 6. Things in environments, and this piggybacks off the last one, they can be wrong and not bad at the same time. So sometimes we think because something looks good, if it has great, it has this, it has that, it has all these amazing features and things that we want, we think, okay, then something must be wrong with me because I don't want it, right? That's not true. Sometimes things are great and amazing and valuable and cool, but they're just not what you want, right? I was talking about this last night, doing pillow talk. We were having a conversation. I was like, sometimes you can be extremely valuable in a lot of ways that other people just don't care about. And you just like so shocked and appalled because how dare you not care about my value, blah, 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 blah. But they're not thinking like that. They just see what they see. And you're doing the same thing with somebody else that you don't know. A lot of times, they have some value in some area that you're not able to latch onto or grab, right? Because you're not interested in their value. And it's not like, I wouldn't say a bad thing. It just means that it's something that is not your direction, right? I always say in life, there's like a million directions we can go into. No direction is worse than the other. Because, okay, I'm a person that works as a PhD, a researching. I don't think anything is wrong with a medical doctor. It's just another way in order to create success and to give something to people and to be in a purpose, right? So just because something is not what you want doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. You know what I mean? People think, this is great. How come you don't like it? Just I don't want it. I'm good. I'm okay. It's like going in a store and finding a perfect outfit. I just did that. Beautiful blazer dress. I love it. But I'm like, nah, I told my daughter I'm not pulled enough. When I'm not pulled enough, I don't buy things, right? So that's what we got to remember. And then the last one I have is surround yourself with people who look out for your very best interests. And the reason why that's so important is because when you are dealing with people and you have to do compromising, or you have to do contracts, or you have to do projects with them, or you have to work with them, or you have to do something that combines you with someone else for some period of time, right, where you're yoked to them. Everybody has an agenda. Everybody wants something. Everybody wants to create something. Everybody wants an outcome. That's just what we do in life. Everybody wants something, and it's perfectly okay because that is the human condition, the wanting, the desiring, right? We don't have to suffer through the wanting and desiring, but it's just there. And so keeping that in mind, everybody gets tunnel visioned about what works best for them and what plan would be best for their lives, right? I'm so guilty of this myself. And in those moments of having tunnel vision, we often forget about the best interest of the person or the people that we are interacting with, right? We don't think like often, what would be the best outcome for both of us? This is like contracts 101. Most people have a hard time with what would be a beneficial outcome for both of us, right? And so when you're not surrounded by people that don't think like that, you're always going to have to find yourself defending your walls and your boundaries because the decisions and the ideas that they have are not coming from the space of, oh, I know they're looking out for the both of us, right? It's coming from the space of what's best for me. So when I say that, I don't mean somebody who's just like a yes man that's around you and your personal life assistant and making you feel good about every decision and choice and avenue you take in life. What I mean is looking out for your best interest is that they're not creating or including you or making you a part of anything where your voice and your authenticity and your genuine desires are not being considered and they're not being heard, right? So keep that in mind. Surround yourself with people like that because that's very positive energy. And I'm so grateful. I have a few people like that that I know I don't have, daily basis conversations with them, but I know that when they're sharing something with me or they're trying to give me something or they're trying to, let me know or do this or meet up for lunch or whatever, they're the kind of person that has my best interest at heart and I have their best interest at heart too. So I know that it's going to be a positive interaction or a positive environment. To me, an example of some people that don't have your best interest at heart is when you are in a relationship or dating people or something like that. And, say the restaurant you're going to go visit is going to be 5 minutes away from their house and then you live an hour away. That's your first sign. It's like, oh, this is date number one. And he says, come 1 hour across town to come meet him. No. And he's only 5 minutes away from his house. No. And so but that's up to you. You can decide, if that works for you or not. But that's not your best interest. And so you want to make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that get like that personal style of etiquette that you enjoy. I have a personal style of etiquette that everybody doesn't get. But when I meet people who get it, I'm like, yeah, that's cool, right? And sometimes I ask the weirdest questions. And when someone agrees, I'm like, you do that? Then that means. And it's just so true, right? Yeah, I do that all the time. Projects, workload, traveling, right? I know that I can quote unquote suffer a lot more than other people when it comes to accommodations. I've very, very much so taken the short end of the stick so many times with traveling with people because that's just easier, right? And so now I don't do that kind of thing because I'm like, I'm not hanging around anyone who's not thinking about my best interest too. And I'm going to do the same for others, right? So anyway, those are my 7 tips today when it comes to um, what's important when it comes to manifesting your life and what you might be missing and what you might need to add to your what is it called? Artillery. I don't know anything about weapons. My daughters know more about that because they play video games. I was watching what's that called? The zombie show, Walking Dead. Years later after it came out, but I watched some seasons and I remember when they saw, I can't think of her name, with the, it started with an M. She had the big sword, right? The machete. I called it a machete. They were like, that's not a machete, that's a katana. I don't know anything about Japanese swords. But nonetheless, that's like, artillery, whatever it is. But keep that in your toolkit, your toolbox. Keep that in your toolbox. These are 7 things to keep in your toolbox. If you feel off or feel weird some days, check these, just the list and be like, hey, am I invested in myself? And be like, hey, am I keeping the main thing the main thing? Hey, am I focusing on the things that are actually working in my life? Hey, am I toiling until I'm depleted? Hey, is this feeling yucky and I'm sticking with it because I think I'm supposed to? Hey, oh yeah. Do I need to remember that things can be wrong for me, but not necessarily bad at the same time? That's a good one. And then number 7 is, am I surrounded by people that have my best interest at heart right now? Like, what are these people doing? Like, who are they? I mean, like, what is happening? Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.